tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So this week we are continuing to explore or go over the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, or the great discourse on the foundations of mindfulness. So this is the third week that we've been covering this sutta. And last week we went over the mindfulness of the breathing. And basically we're mentioning that mindfulness of the breathing is the first kind of practice to get the mind out of its thoughts and to begin concentrating the mind in the present moment. And the breathing acts as a bridge to connect the external world. Normally our mind is moving, the body and mind is moving in the external world and caught up in thoughts of past and future and in anxieties and desires, aversions. So when you sit down to find a place to meditate and then begin, observing the breath, and basically that's done in order to gain, ideally, the first stage of concentration. So those stages of mindfulness of breathing are you become aware of you're aware when the breath is coming in, you're aware when the breath is going out. That means you're feeling it in some spot. Maybe you're focusing and feeling the air moving through the nostrils, or you're feeling the expanding and contracting of your abdomen, the rib cage, or the chest, the air, going in and out of the lungs. That's a more prominent kind of sensation, and it's easier for a lot of people to keep their mind kind of focused on that. But anyway, as you keep your mind focused on that, then you become aware of the whole breath body. And that can be explained in different ways. The whole breath means you feel the in-breath, and then you're aware of the pause between the breaths. Because usually there's a slight pause, even if it's a fraction of a second. To note that pause, you don't let the mind wander. Most people's minds, they feel the in-breath and it immediately wanders, and they're not aware of the pause. And when you're not aware of the pause, you won't be aware of the out-breath. So pauses help connect the in-breath to the out-breath, and that's called the whole breath body. The whole expanding sensations of the in-breath, the pause, all the contracting sensations of the out-breath, and the pause. And if you're able to develop that kind of mindfulness and concentration long enough, then the thoughts will slow down and the hindrances will slow down. And then the next stage of that mindfulness of breathing is tranquilizing the bodily formation. That means you're the breath becomes slower and finer, because as you sit still longer and not moving, and you're not thinking, when the thoughts subside at least a great deal, and you're not fidgeting around and rubbing itches and so on, then the body gets more tranquil, and also the mind becomes more tranquil. And the mind uses a lot of oxygen for thinking. And every time you move the body, even just to, move a finger, you burn 1 or 2 calories, or you use more oxygen. So you have to breathe, continually to breathe. But when the mind and body becomes tranquilized, then the need for oxygen is not so great, and therefore it'll feel like your breath might be even slowing way down. And because of that, you feel a deep tranquility. So that is sort of the first stage of the Anapanasati, is mentioned in this particular sutra, is calming the mind and body, breathing in, calming the mind and body, breathing out, until you reach this stillness where the hindrances are not very strong or have totally subsided. It could be the attaining the state of access concentration, or even the first jhana you could reach by doing this anapanasati, or mindfulness of breathing. But then the mind gets centered in the present moment and feeling, then it starts feeling the body itself. Before you might have been just focused on the breath and not feeling so much of the body. But when the mind gets tranquilized and you're no longer, the breath has become more tranquil, then the body starts standing out, and then you feel the body. And that's where this next stage of mindfulness of the body comes into play, is that, even if the breath is stopped, or even if it's still going on, you're feeling the body around the breath, because the breathing is going in and out of this larger body. So when the mind becomes more tranquilized, you start feeling more sensations in the body. And so to know when you're breathing in and to know when you're breathing out, and to know that you're sitting. So when the body is sitting, know that the body is sitting. Or when it's standing, know that the body is standing. When the body is laying down, know that the body is laying down. When you're walking, know that the body is walking. So you know it by feeling it. So this is the second stage of mindfulness of the body. Once you've used the breathing to tranquilize the mind and body and to get centered in the body, then that becomes the main focus. And as you're aware of the body sitting, like when we're doing sitting meditation, then basically you're sitting. And so you're aware of just, breathing in, sitting, breathing out, sitting. And you can feel the outline of the whole body. That's how you know that you're sitting. You feel sensations from the head, the arms, the feet, the clothing touching the skin. And that forms the outline of the body. So you can, that tells the mind that the body is sitting. It's a perception. And so that transitioning from just observing the breath now to observing the body. And then the next stage is sort of mentally dissecting the body, or going through the body and just feeling the different parts of the body and the sensation. So it starts with you feel the hair of the head. So you feel sort of the hair coming out of the scalp, and and then you feel the hair of the body. You feel the skin. So you can feel the skin stretched over your face. You can feel your teeth, and you know that all these body parts are used for a purpose. Nature made all these body parts for a reason, to be able to live and to eat and to stay warm and so on. And then you start feeling like you feel your heart beating, and you realize This is the heart beating and the breathing and the blood flowing through. And then it might take a little bit more than you just, sometimes it's a matter of visualization, or, this body has the liver and spleen and stomach and other body parts. So you kind of just, as you're doing that, the mind stays there in the body and it starts feeling more and more sensations. And so that mindfulness of body helps to keep the mind in the present moment. It's not abstract thinking, you're trying to feel these parts of the body, but also just intellectually understanding that this body is comprised of all these different body parts. And they're there for a reason. They're there to help support the life of the body. And so at the end of that mindfulness of the body, as contemplating that, the Buddha says, after going through the parts of the body, the meditator understands there is this body here. You're feeling it, you're observing it, sitting and breathing. There is this body, look, yes. It's got all these different body parts on it, but they're all impermanent. All these body parts, you reflect how all these body parts are subject to changing and to get sick and decay. And eventually the body will die. But all these body parts are subject to all kinds of problems. People, have teeth problems, they have skin problems, they have eye problems, they have, every part of the body gives a kind of a problem. And, you yourself have these problems, so it's not abstract thinking, but it's to understand that the nature of the body is this, that it's always changing and is subject to these kind of things. So that's part of the mindfulness. And also part of the mindfulness at the end of that section, and the person's supposed to understand, how does this body arise, how does it continue, and how does it cease? Well, how does this body arise? Well, because your parents had some sex and it got born. Or, it came together, and after 9 months in the womb, the body was born. So that's how the body came to be. And also the karma from the past life helped to spark this, the development of the baby in the womb. Anyway, that's, another story. But anyway, so you understand how this body comes to be. And how does it continue? Well, you have to keep eating food, you have to keep breathing, you have to do exercise, for 10 years, 20 years, 50, 100 or more years. People have to keep these bodies going. And how does it cease? It ceases with death. And death can happen at any time. Death can happen even while you're still in the womb. It happens to babies. It happens after coming out, 1 day, 2 days, and every increment of daily increment up to 100 years, people die. The body dies from so many different causes and conditions. So this is part of that understanding, what's called the clear comprehension. It's not just feeling these things, but it's also the clear comprehension, understand how these things come to be, how they persist, and how eventually they cease due to impermanence and death. So this is kind of part of that contemplation, that so it can involve some thinking actually. But while you're doing that, you gain a deep concentration. Anyway, the section after that, we're still within the mindfulness of the body section. And then it goes on to the 4 elements. So you went from a whole body to just 32 different body parts. And now you're breaking those body parts down into just the 4 elements. And the 4 elements is sometimes a little bit hard to understand, because they say the earth element, water element, air element, fire element. And people say, what is an air element? Or what, But basically what it means is it's the cells and molecules and atoms of the body that come together and form skin, form teeth, cause you to breathe, create the heat in the body. So anyway, you're breaking down the body into more minute parts. So it involves some kind of intellectualization, but you're actually feeling that. I mean, you can feel that. as you've already been doing these contemplations, the mind is really concentrated in the body, and the whole body comes alive with so many sensations. And so, these are basically the elemental vibrations. And there's a lot to that. A lot of people say, I don't know, what is this, 4 elements, But actually, it's very profound because everything is created out of these vibrations. Anyway, that's another Dhamma talk. Then in the end of that, the Buddha has, and then the meditator understands these 4 elements are there, but just for the purpose of gaining insight, but not developing attachment to the body. So actually, after all these paragraphs of this sutta, the breathing, the postures, 32 body parts, the 4 elements, the Buddha is saying, you understand that these are what they are, but not to cling to them as I, me, or mine, or cling to them with a craving and desire, but just for the purpose of gaining insight and knowledge. So anyway, now the last part of the sutta is the what are called the cemetery contemplations. And this also involves some type of visualization, because there are some parts of the Buddhist, in the Buddhist meditation, there are some types of meditation that involve a kind of a visualization or reflection, using some thinking along with it. And that's part of the vitaka and the vichara. But anyway, so you understand how this body, once it dies, it starts decaying and decomposing, and it no longer becomes an object of desire, because it's decaying and it's not very beautiful anymore. And people want to get rid of it as soon as possible. I'll take it away, bury it, cremate it. But anyway, it's about the death. This life, whatever you've lived, it's subject, to death. And basically, when you're born, you get a one-way ticket. Maybe the only one-way ticket, free one-way ticket you'll ever get in your life. It's to the graveyard or to death. Because life isn't certain. Life could be taken away in a finger snap. But death is certain. We don't know the time of the death, how we will die, or even where we will die, because it comes on either gradual or sudden, and most people can't predict that. So anyway, these are the stages of the mindfulness of the body, and so it includes the clear comprehension. That's the important part. In the mindfulness, the right mindfulness, mindfulness of the Eightfold Path is called the right mindfulness. And that means the mindfulness that's supported by right view, by right understanding, and the rest of the Eightfold Path. So it's called the Sati Sampajanya, when the mindfulness and clear comprehension. That means clear comprehension about what the body is, how it arose, how it continues, how it's subject to impermanence, and how it will die. And so that helps to overcome, confusion and non-delusion. So that's part of this contemplation. A lot of people don't develop it to that extent, but they're in a rush to want to, get to the higher jhanas or whatever they might imagine. But the Buddha gave these clear steps for a purpose to develop a well-rounded, right understanding. And you're developing mindfulness and concentration as you're doing that. So that goes, covers this, the first section of the Satipatthana Sutta, this mindfulness of the body. And usually, because the next stages, the next sections of the Mindfulness Sutta are the contemplation of the feelings. That means the painful, pleasant, or neutral feelings or sensations that are coming and going. So first you have to be centered and concentrated in the body in order to observe these sensations, to observe them in their deeper nature of impermanence, how they arise, they last a few moments, maybe longer, they cause some pleasure or pain, the mind reacts to them, and then they change or disappear. And our whole life basically revolves around the painful and pleasant sensations that are constantly coming through all of our senses, not only in the physical body, but the feelings that arise through hearing things, sounds, what you see, because a sound might give you a painful feeling, like you hear a big crash and you cringe like that. Okay, that's a reaction of fear or anxiety, an unpleasant feeling, or a pleasant feeling. So all the six senses are creating pleasant and painful feelings constantly. So this is the next section that you contemplate, but you can only clearly do that when the mind has become concentrated and grounded deeply in the body and feeling those subtler and subtler sensations and seeing how quickly these feelings. Now the word feeling, this section on feeling actually is called Vedana, the Pali term, is the Vedanusati. And it means the feelings. But it's a kind of a confusing word because in English language, a feeling is more like an emotion. You say, I'm feeling sad today. Well, in the Dhamma language, sadness is a painful feeling, but it's really an emotion. You're feeling sad or you're feeling happy. These are more emotional states, whereas the contemplation of feelings is just recognizing, a painful feeling is arising now, or a pleasant feeling is arising now. What is it doing to the mind? So let's say you get a strong itch. Normally a person would just kind of scratch it real quick. But instead, in the mindfulness, you learn to observe that itch. The concentration helps you to observe it without reacting to it. That's why unless you're concentrated, you'll just automatically react to the various itches and unpleasant sensations that are going around. That's why one needs to attain this kind of state of tranquility. So when pains arise in the body, you can kind of observe, okay, pain is arising, and you can observe it, okay, it's getting a little bit more intense. You can try to relax around it. And then while you're observing it without reacting, it might change and disappear. And then some other sensation will arise. Maybe it's a pleasant sound you're hearing, or a visible object, or a smell, or a taste. So the section on feelings, the contemplation of feelings, are all of the six senses. So things that we see, hear, taste, smell, touch, feel with the body, and even your mind. So you have some thoughts that are, painful thoughts maybe, right? And you have some thoughts that might be pleasant thoughts. And you don't want the painful thoughts to come again because they're painful. But you might want to, think of a fantasy to get some pleasurable feeling, or, remember some pleasant thing you did to bring back a pleasurable feeling. So the mind is always, kind of going back and forth between pleasurable feelings and painful feelings. So actually, I prefer to call those vibrations. So actually what you feel when you hear a sound, it's just a sound vibration, right? Because we all know that a sound goes in and it hits your eardrum, that little drum inside your ear, whatever it's called, and it creates a vibration in the nervous system. That vibration goes to the brain where you recognize it. That is Bhante speaking, or a door slamming, or a plane flying overhead. These mental memories or images pop out of your mind whenever you hear or see or smell or taste them. But it's because of the vibration, visible vibration. And so this understanding the nature of the Vedana as just these vibrations and how the mind creates mental pictures out of them and we get attached to them, that is also part of this clear comprehension. So anyway, in the contemplation of feelings, you understand when a painful feeling arises, the person understands, painful feeling is arising now. Maybe it's a pain in your tooth or a pain in your eye or anywhere, in the body, or a painful memory. And you just identify, this is a painful feeling. How do you know it's a painful feeling? Because there's a sense of, I don't like it. There's a sense of, I wish it would go away. And you can see an urge to want to try to get rid of it. Now, especially a body painful feeling. And there's so many of them that are, constantly, coming through the body. In one day, if you count up the times that you kind of, rubbed something here and, went like this, or, it would probably be hundreds of times you do that in one day. And all that is because those were unpleasant sensations and you wanted to get rid of them. Now, every time you do that, it creates a habit of that intolerance to pain, and you keep on rubbing and scratching and reacting to things, which, adds to the kind of the overall agitation of the nervous system. So learning how to relax around the painful feelings, observe them, and know how they're impermanent. So you know how these feelings arise. How do they arise? They arise through contact. Sound hits the ear, and this hearing arises, and the feeling arises with it. How do they cease? When the sound ceases, that feeling will also gradually cease. But anyway, this is a little bit complicated, and it takes a lot of, understanding and meditation to understand that. But that's part of this clear comprehension, the mindfulness in clear comprehension, which is called sampajanya. And a lot of people that are practicing mindfulness these days, and they just talk about mindfulness and just be mindful, but without necessarily developing this kind of sampajanya. Anyway, so I wanted to just mention that that connection between the body and the Vedana, or the first stage of the mindfulness of the body, the sutta, and that it has two parts of it. One is developing the concentration, the mindfulness and concentration, by keeping your attention on the object. And the second part is developing the clear comprehension. That means understanding it, understanding what you are feeling. So understanding what the purpose of breathing is, and the understanding how it can be affected in many ways. And if the breath stops within a few minutes, the body may die. And the same with the actual body itself, the mindfulness of the body. This body exists, but understanding it could die very easily by many different factors, and is subject to all kinds of pains and problems. And it will, is also a source of, other mental states, lust and desire, fear, and so on. So this is part of that reflective understanding as you are practicing the sutta. You develop this kind of, because it helps to create detachment. So you can say, okay, this body exists, the breathing exists, the sitting body exists, the feelings exist, but just for the purpose of gaining mindfulness, not for using it to, gain riches and fame, or win beauty contests or muscle building contests, or so many other things. You see it as for what it was, nature made it for, a place the mind operates through this body, We have to have this body to experience the world so we can practice the Dhamma, so we can make progress in hopefully unraveling the tangle of our mind and purifying the mind of greed, hatred, and delusion, which is really the practice of the Dhamma. So friends, having said that much, I don't want to go in any further on that now, because I want to now open it up to see if any of you have any questions on any of that we talked about now. So you can either write a question. I see a golden hand there. Damon, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. So you have encouraged us, over the years to have not only the clear comprehension or the intellectual or the reflective, but also an experiential experience of impermanence. So when I was meditating last Wednesday with here, and then I felt this itch arising, and it was, unpleasant. I guess I had a feeling that it was unpleasant, and I had an impulse to scratch it. But then I wanted to practice what you've taught us, so I just noted that, okay, there's a vibration going on in the leg, and most importantly, as it arose and abided, I then noticed that it passed away, especially when I didn't react and scratch it. So to me, this was like such a simple but profound experience of impermanence without intellectualizing it, just noting the arising and passing away of a body vibration. Am I getting this?
Absolutely. Yes, that's it. You got it. See, it's not that difficult. People think, oh, this is dumb, it's too difficult. No, just observe. But you wouldn't have been able to do that had you not first probably, developed a little bit of concentration and relaxation centered in the body so that you could have the mental space to observe it without immediately reacting.
Okay.
So that's the practice. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Okay, but if I explain this to like my mom or something and say, hey, mom, I just had this great experiential experience of arising and passing away of the itch in my leg. I'm on my way to enlightenment. She'd be like, what? What? So big deal. Like, what's the big deal?
Right.
But
By people who don't understand Dhamma, they can't understand these things that you might explain to them, and they just roll their eyes up, in their head and say, "Oh, yeah, they're Buddhist," something like that. So they can't understand it. So that's why the clear comprehension is important, because it brings a lot of joy and understanding. It's not just feeling it, but it's understanding. Yes, these things are impermanent, and if we don't immediately move, if we just observe them, we'll see that they'll change. And I don't have to waste my time to get them to go away, because if I just give them a few seconds or longer, they're going to go away by themselves. And I don't always have to be, constantly, reacting to things. And that's the way you gain a deeper sense of, centeredness and relaxation.
now, in the case of chronic pain, however, which I don't have, but if it doesn't cease right away, at least we could note that the itch or the vibration or the pain, at least maybe we can note that it changes, like it gets less, it gets more, even if we have chronic pain, right?
You can learn to tolerate them more. And when you tolerate it more, they seem like they're not as bad. But in the beginning, when you feel that real sharp pain, then it's really bad. But when you just pause a moment and not immediately react and observe it, then that intensity of the pain kind of diminishes a bit. And then it could actually change and disappear, or there's something else come up somewhere else, some other sensation, and you feel that, and you normally you can't react to two things at the same time.
Right.
So if you have some strong itch over here and you see that urge, feel something on the other one over here. And then you pay attention to that one, you forget about this one over here.
Okay.
And so, when you develop that ability to feel sensations all over the body, there's not enough time for the mind to react to any particular one because there's always different ones you're noticing. And so that dilutes that intensity of wanting to react. So that's a sort of a trick of the concentration. I mean, that's the skill in developing the mindfulness is the skill in understanding how the mind works with these things, how these things are affecting the mind, and use the natural steps. The Buddha was just using the natural steps of impermanence and even no self to help the mind back off of overreacting to any stimulations, even if it's a sound or a visible object, or even your thoughts too. Even the thought of anger. You notice anger arising. Oh, this is anger. What is this anger? What am I angry at? Then you say, well, that person insulted me. So then you say, well, so what? Big deal. Is it worth getting angry about? And you kind of think, oh, yeah. And you'll see it's kind of foolish to get angry at something you can't really control. And so it drops away. But as long as you're focusing on the person that caused the anger, then you'll get more angry. But when you're just observing the anger itself, the sensations in the body produced by the anger, and not focusing on the object that caused the anger, then that anger will disappear. Anyway, these are all aspects of direct. You be aware of that the next time. So the same way as that itch that you had, next time you have a thought in your mind of lust or anger or any other type of thought, don't focus on the object that caused it. Just observe the sensations that are being felt in the body of that, the pleasant sensations or the painful sensations, and just observe those. And then by not paying attention to the object, it'll disappear. When the object disappears, the sensations will disappear. It's a kind of the science. That's mental science. But people never teach the mental science of dealing with these kind of things. They just take these pills, do this, do that, They haven't really, and so, the Buddha was a great scientist. This Satipatthana Sutta, my gosh, it's the greatest scientific method, there is, in my point of view, in terms of dealing with your mind and overcoming all the things in the mind that causes so much suffering. Okay? So anyway, gives you something to think about the next week. All right. Looks like there might be some more chats here. Oh, Dushanti, you have I see a golden hand raised up there.
Yes, hi Bhante. I wanted to know the contemplation of the body. Is that a method that you can become disenchanted by existence and by the body? And if so, I know that there are different, like lots of different steps to it. Does this sutta get into the steps?
Yes, you become disenchanted with the infatuation of the body. A lot of people have this infatuation with it, and they think it, what they can do with it, or beautifying it, wanting to, things like that. And so you lose that desire to use the body in those ways to, influence people or whatever it is. Yeah. So that disenchantment, that is part, but it's a disenchantment not to the object, but to the infatuation with the objects. It's a disenchantment that leads you to decrease the craving for those things, knowing that it's very superficial. The idea that beauty is skin deep, right? So, if you take away the skin, no one's going to want to, get in bed with a body that's just a mass of blood and bones. So, You
Thank
know,
you,
only
Bhante.
these external coverings, people get infatuated. Oh, beautiful skin, look at those eyes, teeth, perfect teeth, and those five things are what people get infatuated with, right? But they're all subject to decay, and they cost a lot of money to keep up, and they want to make them perfect, and so on. It's leads to a lot of problems, that infatuation.
Thank
That's
you,
why
Bhante.
infatuation is an important stage, or disenchantment, excuse me. Disenchantment is an important stage. But a lot of people don't want to go that far.
Also, Bhante, uh, I was examining an itch like Damon, and I felt like almost it felt like the cell I could feel the cells around it and like the smaller sensations. Then I felt like the object that caused the itching, and then I felt it moving, and then my attention kind of moved where it moved, and then it just became so fiery and so like sharp. I told myself, this is impermanent, just watch it. And I'm wondering if saying that to myself is a way to become averted to the painful experience, or if it's skillful.
Yes, the Buddha said all these things, these are impermanent. They're not me, not myself. They're just products of conditioning, they're products of nature. And you become disenchanted with that infatuation with them. So just repeating it, yeah, this is impermanent, this is impermanent. If that's what it takes for you to, not move or to stay still, you can do that. Later on, you may not have to do that later on. These different words. Sometimes we have to talk ourselves through, like, okay, relax, it's impermanent, okay. But later on, when you get more proficient, you don't have to even say any of those kind of words. It becomes intuitive understanding. And so it becomes much easier to do that.
So that's not a type of an aversion if I keep saying it and like if I say it and watch it just as intensely, is that skillful?
Uh, if that's what it takes to detach from it, yes, it's skillful. But as I say, you won't have to do that all the time. Once you develop the mindfulness to a stronger level, then the need for these words like the noting technique of hearing, or seeing, or feeling, those are beginners' techniques to get the mind sort of, on track, but later the use of those kind of mental comments and so on follow it. But that's part of what is called the Chintamaya Panya. There's 3 levels of wisdom. Intellectual wisdom, the wisdom that comes through thinking and reflecting on things, which would include that kind of what I have been talking about. And then finally, the deep insights that, let's say, Damon had, where he actually saw that thing arise and vanish very quickly. So that wasn't intellectual, that was a direct seeing when these things like vanish very quickly.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, let's see if there's any more chats in here. I don't have my reading glasses on to read that. Okay, okay, yeah, thank you, Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Go back to my email. If you go back to my email that I sent out, the link is there. So you have to, read read the email and find that link, click it, and you get the sutta. Okay? All right, friends. So that's been a good discussion, and now we can take a few minutes break, and then come back, do a few stretches, feel some Vedanas, and
Bhante, there's one question in the sutta from Mom D. I don't think got answered in the chat. I mean, it didn't get answered. It's in the tab. It says in the sutta it is mentioned mental qualities. Does mental qualities mean mental states like sadness, happiness, etc. Mama B wrote that.
That's in the following categories, the mindfulness of mental states. So we haven't got that far yet. So far we've been discussing mindfulness of the body and mindfulness of feelings. And next week, hopefully we will cover the mental states. So that includes sadness, happiness, depression, all kind of mental states. Yeah. So it is in the sutta, but you have to go to what is called the contemplation of the mind to get the explanations of that. Okay? Okay, let's take a few minutes break and come. Stand straight, keep your feet a few inches apart, parallel to each other. Relax your shoulders and arms at the sides. Keep your chin lifted up level with the floor. Let's close the eyes. Feel your eyes in the socket. And the point on the eyes. And feel the outline of the body. Feel the feet pressing the floor, the arms at the side. Clothing touching the skin. The head balanced on top. Just remember standing, standing. The body standing, know that you're standing. And begin some deep, slow breathing. It'll take 2 or 3 or more seconds to expand your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds. And slowly breathe out, feeling the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Just take several more deep, slow breaths like that, developing this mindfulness. And breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath a second. And breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now coordinate this breathing with these movements. On the next in-breath, raise your arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, stretch your head back, stretch the arms up and backward. And release your fingers, the out-breath, arms back to the side. Again, in-breath, interlock the fingers, stretch the hands up, bend back, feel the arch of the spine, feel the sensations, release the fingers, out breath. Once more, in, stretch up, bend back, hold it longer. Out breath. Feel the sensations. Letting go of your thoughts. Always keep the body in front of the awareness. With all those different sensations, pulsations.
Arumi Tanaka, it has been a great pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations on winning the Nobel Peace Prize, and thank you very much for joining me on Heart Talk. Thank you. Don't have a good
Just hearing, just let the sounds come and go in the background. Okay, the next in breath, lift up on the balls of the feet while raising the hands over the head, facing the hands toward each other a few inches apart, and stretch. Out breath, come back down. Use the in breath to help lift up the body, up on the toes, stretch up.
With idiopathic infantile scoliosis. I've had 17 surgeries.
I was born missing my lower right foot.
I was born 10 weeks early.
Stretch. Out. Close the eyes, keep feeling the body. Feel the outline of the body. Feet pressing the floor. Arms and hands at the side. Clothing touching the skin. Head balanced on top. The eyes in the socket. All those different sensations create the idea of a standing body. Next, we'll do the side bending using both arms. On the in breath, raise both arms up. Keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. Out breath, bend over the right side. Keep your arms parallel to each other like railroad track. In breath, lift up. Then the other side, out breath. Stretch in the side, in. Keep alternating sides with breathing out. In. Out. In. Once more to each side. The out breath, lower the arms. Close the eyes. Feel the outline of the body, different sensations, especially in your hands and fingers. Clothing touching the skin of your shoulders, the chest, the stomach. Letting go of your thoughts. Just remember standing, standing, standing. Next, we'll do the knee bending or squatting. On the in-breath, lift up on the toes, raise your arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower down. Balancing on the balls of the feet, go down into the squatting position if you can. Take a deep breath, push back up. Feel the muscles in the legs, pushing the body up. All the way up on the toes. Out breath. In. Out. In. Out breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat, other pulsations, any aches or pains. All those sensations are just the four elemental vibrations, it's the activated cellular vibrations, cells, molecules, atoms, vibrating, interacting, producing all these sensations, the four elements. It's clear comprehension. Now spread the legs apart about 2 feet, holding the arms out. We'll do the twisting from right to left. We'll breathe in. The out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. The in breath, come back to the front. Let your feet turn with the body, then twist to the other side. The out breath. In breath. Keep alternating sides. Out breath to the right. In breath front. Once more to each side. Back to the front, lower the arms. Feel the whole body, don't let the mind wander. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the arms and hands, the side. Feel the clothing touching the skin, the head balanced on top. Remember standing. The body is standing, know that it's standing. While feeling the breathing, do mindfulness of breathing and mindfulness of the posture at the same time. Okay, now we're going to do forward and backward bending, keeping the legs spread apart. Let the hands touch the front of your thighs. And breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward, let your hands slide down the legs to your kneecaps. And keep your legs straight. Keep your head lifted up, try to flatten the spine, making it like a tabletop. Get the hump out of the spine, feel the stretch in the legs. In breath, lift up. Move your hands under the buttocks for support and let your head go back. Gently bend back on the out breath. Look up at the ceiling. Keep your eyes open. Feel the arch in the spine. Gently lift up on the in breath. And again, out breath, let the hands come below your knees. Feel the extra stretch in the hamstring muscles. Keep your head lifted up. In breath, lift up. Again, the back bend, be careful, out breath. In breath. And third time, let the hands come down as far as you can towards your ankles or feet, and then hold on to your legs and feet longer. And keep the legs locked straight. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Feel all the sensations. And lift up. And once more, the back bend, just be careful. Out breath. In breath, lift up. The out breath, just relax your shoulders and arms. Close the eyes, feel the whole body. Each foot pressing the floor. Arms and hands at the sides. Clothing touching the skin. Head balanced on the top. Feel the eyes in the sockets, skin stretched over the face. Just this body as it is, here and now. Present moment, body centered awareness. Now bring your legs and feet back together. Just do one last exercise, turning the head from right to left. Standing straight, the chin lifted up level to the floor. On the in breath, turn your head to the right. Look over your right shoulder, feel the twist in your neck. On the out breath, turn all the way back to the left. Look over your left shoulder. In breath to the right. Out breath left. In right. On the in breath, let the head stop in the center. Close the eyes, keep feeling the body. Start to feel that activated, organic aliveness of the whole body. you're standing on a vibrating machine, feeling those vibrations from the soles of your feet up to the top of the head. What are those vibrations? Just the cellular vibrations. This body is made up of billions of cells. Molecules, atoms are all vibrating, interacting, producing all these four elemental vibrations. Clear comprehension. The meditator knows there is this body with body parts, vibration, just for the extent of developing knowledge and mindfulness, but without developing craving or infatuation. Just feel the head balanced on top of the neck. From that point on the eyes, try to feel the outline of the sitting body. The head on top, arms and hands at the sides. Legs, feet tucked underneath. Buttocks pressing the seat. And mindfully breathing in and mindfully breathing out. Let's take some deep, slow breaths. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 seconds to feel that pause. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Then the next in-breath. Just take several more deep breaths like that, developing this mindfulness of breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to try to count our breaths from 1 to 10 to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. Letting go of your thoughts, tuning into the breathing process. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and counting. Try to continue some deep breaths if you can. So breathing in, mentally count 1. With a contracting out breath, also count 1. Next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3. out 3, in 4, out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. Now discontinue the counting. Just let your breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter, irregular rhythm. And continue to feel it, to observe the subtler movements of expanding and contracting. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it, feeling those sensations. Especially try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of the abdomen or chest as it expands and contracts. Try to notice the brief pauses between the breaths. And the pauses between the breaths. Feel the outline of the sitting body. Remember that you're sitting. Just breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. It's the ongoing, continuous, present moment of this breathing body. It's developing mindfulness and concentration. As well as clear comprehension. This breathing is going in and out of this larger body. From the moment of birth to the moment of death, this breath has been going in and out of this body. Maybe more than 1,000,000 times, but we hardly ever know it. Just breathing in, sitting, breathing out, sitting. Try to be like a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing the breathing process, noticing all the different sensations connected with the breathing, expanding sensations of the in-breath and the pause, contracting sensations of the out-breath and the pause. Breath by breath, moment by moment, be alert for thoughts sneaking up into the mind to steal your attention away. If you catch your mind totally lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath. Bring the mind back into the body. Back to in, sitting. Out, sitting. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Breathing in, relaxing the body and mind. Breathing out, relaxing the body and mind. With each out breath, feel the body and mind relaxing more and more into the present moment. Feeling more and more subtle sensations of the in-breathing and the out-breathing. Feeling the pauses between the breaths. Sometimes the pauses between the breaths are longer or shorter. This body lives through the breathing and the heart beating. The in-breath brings in life-sustaining oxygen. It's taken by the blood out to feed all the cells of the body. And on the out-breath, the lungs expel excess carbon dioxide or other impurities. Kind of try to observe or feel that, or think about that, visualize that, may help you concentrate. Clear comprehension. This body has been born through the energy of the past karma. It's born, lives a certain amount of years. The time of death also conditioned largely by the past karma. Whether through accident or the natural lifespan. The breath went out of the body, didn't come back in for a certain amount of time, it would die. What is the purpose of having this body? According to the Dhamma, it's for the purpose of using this life to gain progress on the path to the end of suffering, path to mental freedom. It's the proper use of this body. That's the clear comprehension. This breathing body exists just for the point of purpose of gaining mindfulness, knowledge, wisdom. Not developing unnecessarily infatuations or pains or other problems connected with the wrong use of this body. That's called mindfulness of the body. From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths to keep the mind awake, centered in the breathing body. Feeling more and more subtler sensation. Be alert when any painful sensations arise or any pleasant sensation. Just observe them as they arise, come to a peak, last some seconds or longer, change and disappear. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many sensations coming and going. Pleasure, pain come and go. Various thoughts and emotions coming and going. Sounds coming and going. Coming and going through this breathing body. Flow of impermanence through this body and mind. From the moment of birth to the moment of death. Now let's spend the last few minutes of the meditation cultivating thoughts of metta, or friendliness, kindness, best wishes to our own body and mind, and spreading those thought vibrations out to all other beings. Just continue, your eyes closed, just keep watching your own breathing body. Just kind of watch your body sitting and breathing, be aware of your mind, kind of reflect on your current life situation, what kind of difficulties you might be having, or what good things are happening in your life. Count those blessings. Just take a few deep, slow breaths, cultivating this metta to your body and mind, thinking, may I be well, peaceful and wise. May I be free from excessive attachment or greed, anger or hatred, jealousy, envy, fear, pride, and ignorance. May I be free from the self-created pains and sufferings of body and mind due to such unskillful thought, speech, and actions. And may I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I be able to continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma and the practice of meditation to help free the mind from confusion and self-created suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. Now, in a more general way, just sending these same thought vibrations outward, just continuous and deep, slow breathing, and with each out breath, just imagine these waves of metta thoughts going outward with the idea that may all living beings, wherever they might be, living near or far away, rich or the poor, weak or the strong, famous or the obscure, may all living beings be well, peaceful, and happy, free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance, free from self-created pains and sufferings of body and mind due to their unskillful thought, speech, and actions. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. If they haven't already, may they also have the opportunity to hear the mind-healing teachings of the Buddha and the Dhamma to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Now I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting on a long out breath, Feel those vibrations in the body and mind. So take a deep breath. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back. Pull your hands against the knees to arch the spine. And look up towards the ceiling. And lift the head up on an in-breath, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the notch at the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So hope you're able to have some peaceful moments in your meditation, maybe some insights, especially in this holiday season coming up. Try to practice the M&Ms during the day, pausing every hour for a minute to take a couple deep breaths, bring your mind back to the body, the present moment, send out metta to all beings. You did something unmindfully in that last hour, forgive yourself or forgive somebody else. If you're holding some ill feelings towards somebody, let that go so you don't carry it into the future. Okay. So we'll hopefully see you again next week. Until then, be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise.
Thank you, Bhante.
Namo.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante.